Hey guys, welcome back here to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, hello, my name is Joelle and I am a full-time reseller on lots of platforms, but primarily on Poshmark and whatnot. And today I have a long overdue what's sold video for you guys for the past few weeks because I chose to take a break from YouTube last week. I will admit I was feeling a little burned out with all of my full-time reselling tasks. And YouTube is just the task that does not make me the most money. So I had to put it aside for a week, but I am back and I am ready to be back on YouTube. So we do have an extra week here to talk about sales. I will still keep my same structure for this video. So for the last 3 weeks of sales, I'm going to talk about a couple of categories and consumer trends that I have noticed within my personal sales. Just a little spoiler alert, I am selling a lot of spring items right now, but I'm still managing to sell some winter items. So definitely make sure when you are outsourcing to look for those seasonal items, but don't pass up your coats and your boots and other winter items because it is still cold in a lot of places and people are still looking for deals on winter items. But now we are going to get into my first category. I will admit I am still feeling a little burnt out with YouTube, and so I'm going to try to get through this video without a lot of editing. So you will see me looking down here at my laptop. But first up, we're going to talk about dresses. I have been selling a lot of dresses the past few weeks. And first up, we have a sale on Mercari for $40 on an offer sent from the buyer. I sold this Billabong True Romance midi dress. This is actually a dress that I tried to sell on Whatnot during a sponsored event. The show had over 100 people in it and I started the bid at $10. Nobody wanted this dress and I was kind of surprised because I think it is a great spring style. But ultimately, I ended up being really happy that it did not sell there because I ended up getting a great sale here on Mercari. This was listed for $50, so I thought that the offer was really reasonable. And I will say a lot of reasonable offers have been coming to my closet on Poshmark and Mercari for the past few weeks, so I'm really happy about that. This was my first time selling Billabong, but I have heard from a lot of other resellers that it is a great bread and butter brand to sell. So I would definitely consider this specific style a bolo, and we're off to a great start. Clearly with my notes here, I did not write down my cost of goods or profit, but I do think I paid around $7 to $8 for this dress at Nordstrom Rack for a clearance event. So I probably ended up profiting around $30 for this dress with Mercari's low fees. All right, next up we have a full price sale. For $50 on Poshmark, I sold this Azazi dusty blue bridesmaid's dress. And if there's one piece of information that sticks with you after watching this video, I hope it is this. That piece of information is that bridesmaids dresses are going to fly out of your closet this time of year as long as you pick up the right brands and have a really good keyword heavy listing. A couple of brands that come to mind when it comes to bridesmaids dresses that you should be on the lookout for are obviously Azazi. I know I have worn an Azazi dress myself for my sister's wedding. We also looked at Birdie Gray, and I know that that one is a really popular one. And then a great bread and butter site is Lulu's. I sell a lot of Lulu's dresses too, including a lot of those floor length and maxi gowns. And I did put a couple of things here in my notes about the dress. The first thing is that dusty blue, which was the color of it, is a really popular bridesmaid color. I think another one is either dusty rose or dusty mauve, but definitely be on the lookout for those kind of pastel colors. I also said that this was a custom sized dress, so measurements are very important. And I will say that if you are sourcing secondhand bridesmaids dresses, you should always include measurements because a lot of people will order these dresses online and they will end up getting the dress altered. So a lot of those sizes will not be accurate. And the final thing that I put is to make sure you price accordingly. I think this dress retailed for around 90 to maybe 110 bucks. A lot of people look for bridesmaids dresses online on platforms like Poshmark because these dresses do get so expensive on the actual retailers' websites. And if you're only gonna wear it for one wedding, why would you spend $100 on a brand new bridesmaid's dress? So I think that you should definitely make sure you price them accordingly. I know that last year, around this time of year, I was pricing my dresses way too high, around that $60 to $70 range. I do not think it is worth it, and I think your items will be sitting. Definitely make sure to price them around maybe that $40 to $50 range. as long as the dress is in good condition. So my cost of goods for this dress was just $1.50 because I did find it at a fill a bag sale. So after fees and cost of goods, I profited $38.50 for this Azazi dress. All right, next up we have yet another bridesmaid's dress. So this one sold on Poshmark on a $43 offer sent by the buyer. This was a $50 listing, and for that $43, I sold this Bill Levkoff gray bridesmaid's dress. This one came from my sister. She did purchase it, I think, online, and then she ended up just giving it to me to sell. And like I said earlier with that Billabong dress, I have been receiving a lot of great offers. There must be something in the water because usually that does not happen, but I will definitely make sure to include some more screenshots of reasonable offers that I received on items that I wouldn't necessarily consider bolo brands or styles. So I will not talk about them like I'm talking about these other sales, but I will make sure to share them with you so you know maybe what bread and butter items you could be on the lookout for if you find them cheap enough. But I will go through this Bill Levkoff sale quick because I already talked a little bit about bridesmaids dresses, but I had a couple of more things in my notes here. I guess just advice for you guys. The biggest thing that I have for this one is to try to find a color palette. So like I said, dusty blue is a huge color palette right now. I think it is a really trending bridesmaid color, and I know I see it in a lot of weddings myself. So definitely make sure to try and find not only the dress and a stock photo of it, but also the color. So like I said, my sister gave this one to me for free. So after fees and cost of goods, I made $34.40 for this bridesmaid's dress. Next up, we have another formal dress, and this is from one of my favorite brands to sell, especially on Poshmark, for $32 on a 20% offer sent by myself. I sold this Lulu's Elegant Moves white mesh dress. I picked this dress up for just $5.98 at one of my top secret local sourcing locations. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you've probably heard me talk about it, but this is where I find a lot of my new with tags higher end pieces. They almost always have Lulu's dresses priced at $9.98 for mini dresses and then $14.98 for maxi dresses, but for whatever reason, they had some priced at just $5.98. Obviously, I took advantage of that opportunity and I picked up a few dresses. I did sell one on Whatnot for a quick flip, but this one also ended up selling within about 1 month of listing. But I thought that this was not only a dress that you could use for maybe a formal or a dance, but also for some type of wedding theme. So like I said, my cost of goods for this dress was just $5.98. So after fees and cost of goods, I profited $17.60 for this Lulu's dress. Next up was something that I kind of regretted picking up, but for $35 on Poshmark, and this was a counter offer, I sold this Nicole Miller Artelier. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the Artelier Collection maxi dress. So if you don't know, I personally did not know this until I found this dress last year, but Nicole Miller has the higher end kind of luxurious label. Some of her stuff does not resell very well, but a lot of other pieces will go for a lot. And then there's also a TJ Maxx and Marshall's Diffusion line. That one will have Nicole Miller and then it will have New York underneath it. So for this dress, I'm not going to try to say the collection again, but I will give you guys the tag here on the screen. But this dress retailed for a pretty penny. And when I did find it, I found it at Plato's Closet for just $14. I thought that it would be a great pickup when I saw others sold comps, but this ended up sitting for over a year. So like I said, I purchased it a long time ago. I think it was upwards to almost 2 years ago at this point. And it's something that I would have picked up maybe at a fill a bag sale and that I would have maybe paid up to around $5 or $6 for, but $14 was just way too much. And I wish I would have revamped my listing a little bit sooner so it would have sold a little bit quicker. But for the lengthy amount of time that this dress was listed, it did not receive any offers. It had some likes, but not a lot of attention in general. So when I did receive that $35 counter offer, I did not hesitate to accept it. I did still choose to include it because I think if I would have had a more keyword heavy listing and kind of revamped it a little bit sooner, it would have been a quicker flip because this was a really great style. So I still wanted to include it in this video, but after fees and cost of goods, I made just $14 for this Nicole Miller dress. All right, we have one more dress to go over and then we will talk about my next category. But for $20 on a 50% offer sent by myself, I sold this Nanette Lepore lace overlay dress. And like that Nicole Miller dress, I chose to include this mostly because even though this brand doesn't always resell the best, I did buy it for the color, style, and season. I purchased this a couple of months ago at Style Encore for their clearance sale, and I thought that it was just a really great style for the upcoming spring season. So I was really happy to see it sell, even if it was for 50% off. This was my first sale from this brand, but I have seen from a lot of other resellers on YouTube that Nanette Lepore tends to sit for a while and it doesn't always hold the best resale value, but it's definitely a brand that if it is a good style, I will pick up for a low enough cost of goods. I thought that $2.61 was low enough to get this dress. And like that first sale, I completely forgot to put my profit in there. I think I ended up profiting around $11 to $12 for this dress, but I do think that I could have gotten a little bit more for it if I wouldn't have included it in the 50% off sale. So I will include my profit here, but overall, I was really happy with this sale. All right, the next category we will talk about is pretty generic like dresses, but I did have some really good sales. So next up, we are going to talk about shoes. I personally have not been sourcing shoes as much. I have been itching to get another ThredUp shoe rescue box, but I was really burned on my last one. And for whatever reason, my thrift store's shoe sections have been lacking. So I have not been sourcing it as much as I used to, but I was still really happy to see these good shoe sales because since my thrift stores don't have as many good pairs, I'm trying to be a lot more intentional with the shoe brands that I purchase. So first up, we have a very clear Bolo brand. For $60 on Poshmark, I sold these Doc Martens, and these are the 1461 Crazy Horse Leather Oxford shoes. Now, I didn't receive these in a ThredUp shoe rescue box, but I did receive them in a ThredUp men's rescue box. So if you're subscribed to me, you may have seen my post a couple of weeks ago. I ordered a ThredUp men's rescue box and it ended up arriving within a week. Unfortunately, when it arrived, I did not have time to record a YouTube video, but I get way too excited to open up these boxes. So instead of recording a video, I just opened it up on my own. I will say that that video will be coming out next week, so definitely make sure to be on the lookout for it because this box is definitely worth the watch. I got so many good items and I think I almost paid off the box already with just a couple of sales. But these docs were at the bottom of the box along with a couple of other pairs of shoes, so I was really happy with the box overall. These ones did sell on a 40% offer sent by myself. I got the inspiration from Mogi Beth. If you're watching my channel, you probably have seen hers because she is a very popular YouTuber and a very successful reseller. But Mogi Beth talked in one of her recent videos that she does send out 40% off offers every Sunday. I thought that that would be a really good idea because last month for March, I would send out my standard 20% off offer to likers whenever somebody new would like an item. And then I waited until mid-March on March 15th to send out 30% offers. And I really didn't make a lot of sales that day. And then at the end of the month, which I have been doing since January, I would send out my 50% off offers for the last 2 or 3 days of the month. So the 50% is obviously successful. That is a great discount to send. And my 20% offers are usually pretty successful too, but the 30% just didn't bring in a lot of sales. So I thought that the 40% would be a really good strategy to do. And these docs ended up selling within just a few days of listing, and they definitely compared to a lot of other recent solds for the exact same pair of shoes. So overall, Doc Martens is always a Bolo brand. I cannot stress that enough. I think this was my 4th or 5th pair of docs that I have sold, and they have all sold within less than 2 weeks of listing. And this was actually my lowest price sale, but they did have a few more flaws than the other docs I have found in the past. And the other ones have sold for, I think, $75 or more. They just always bring in a great profit, and they are such a coveted brand that they end up selling really quick as long as you price them accordingly. So I have not processed this box into my inventory, so I'm not sure what my cost of goods per item is. In the past, my cost of goods per item is typically around that $3 to $4 range. So I think that my profit will be around $42 to $43 for these Doc Marten shoes. Next up, we have a sale that happened on an accidental offer. So even though I didn't make a ton of money, I was still really happy with the pickup, and I still think it is a Bolo style. So for $28 in discounted shipping, I sold these Lucky brand knee-high Pemba boots. And if you watched my most recent What Sold video, you might have heard me talk about boots and how they're selling really well for me. This is a new video and I have a new pair of boots to talk about. So I think I can confidently say, after selling around 4 to 5 pairs of boots in the last few weeks, that people are still looking for those winter items. So this was an accidental offer because I had these priced, I think it's 65 bucks, and they did receive a lot of likes on Poshmark and a lot of attention on eBay and Mercari. And because these boots had so many likes on Poshmark, I decided to drop the price from 65 to 40 on Closet Clearout Day. I've had some successful sales with Closet Clearout Day for items that have a lot of likes, so I figured I would try it out. Nobody ended up taking these on Closet Clearout Day, and I had dropped the prices on a couple of other items. And a lot of times when I drop prices on items, I forget to relist them the next day and raise the price back up to what I had it at. I definitely need to make some changes there to my system. So I forgot to raise the price, and Posh Sidekick the next day ended up sending out an offer of $28 in discounted shipping. Obviously, a liker decided to jump on that opportunity. I would too if I received such a good offer on an expensive pair of boots. These particular boots had some great comps on Poshmark, and I did pay up for these, I think at $7.98. So I really wish I could have sold them for a little bit more, and I think I could have sold them for at least 40 bucks had I waited out a little bit longer, and if I had actually remembered to relist the item and raise the price back up. But overall, I was happy to get a quick flip for these boots. And of course, I did not write my profit on here. It wasn't anything too impressive because I did forget to relist the item, but I will still include it on the screen for you guys. And I would definitely consider this a bolo style. And overall, I really like selling Lucky brand boots. They always seem to bring me a pretty decent profit. All right, next up, this is the last pair of shoes we have to talk about. We have these Sanctuary shag-heeled mules, and these sold for $17 in discounted shipping on a 50% offer sent by myself. So even though these sold for 50% off and I didn't make a huge profit, I would still consider these shoes a fairly decent bread and butter bolo style. And that is because I said these shoes got a lot of attention when I listed them over the summer. I actually bought them for myself and then I ended up not wearing them, but I had them way overpriced at 50 bucks. So once I became full-time in January, I definitely made sure to look through a lot of my stale inventory to see what I could do to revamp the listing. And for a lot of those listings, I simply had to lower the price because I either had them way too overpriced or comps had changed. So for these ones, after lowering the price to 35 bucks, they ended up selling within a couple months of listing. I also think that this particular style of shoes, especially because they are mules, is a really good style to be on the lookout for. And definitely make sure to add good keywords, especially related to stuff like business and business casual wear. So for these shoes, I did pay $5 for them, but like I said, I bought them for myself, so that's a great deal for those types of shoes. But after fees and cost of goods, I profited $8.60 for these Sanctuary mules. All right, we have 6 more sales to go over, and these ones don't really fit into any type of category or consumer trends, but I said that these are sales that need to be highlighted. By this, I mean that they're either a bolo brand or a bolo style, or maybe a brand that is always a reliable sale for me. So first up, this was a first time find for me, and I was so excited to see the brand. For full price on Poshmark, I sold these Hatch Maternity Cassie pants, and they were new with tags, and these ended up selling for $70. Even though this was a first time find for me, I can confidently say that Hatch is a huge bolo brand. It's a brand that I hear a lot of other resellers talk about, and I think that maternity clothes in general sell really well on the resale market. So I did pay up for these at $9.40. But like I said, I felt very confident with this brand, so I felt very confident in paying up for it. These pants also sold fairly quick after about 3 weeks of listing, so I was really happy with this sale overall, not only because of the profit, but because of the quick turnaround. And after fees and cost of goods, I made a quick $46.60 for these new with tags Hatch maternity pants. Next up, we have this vintage Briggs floral maxi skirt. And this one sold for $17 on a 50% offer sent by myself. And I will say that even though this sold at 50% off, I think that this was still a really good pickup that would have ended up selling for a pretty decent profit. This skirt got a lot of likes and it ended up selling within a week. Overall, the likers just got lucky because when I listed it, it was near the end of the month. It racked up a pretty good amount of likes, and I ended up sending out that 50% offer because there are only a couple of listings that I don't send that offer out for. Overall, I'm just looking to get quick flips for pretty much my whole closet. So I said here in my notes that I've been big on sourcing skirts, especially midi and maxi this time of year. And things I will look out for when it comes to midi and maxi skirts are fun patterns like flowers or animal prints. I will look to see if they have pleats in it, and I will also look to see if they have any sort of side slits. So obviously this skirt had the beautiful flowers on it, and it did have some side slits. So I thought that this would be a really great listing to pick up for the spring and summer seasons. I made sure to make it a keyword heavy listing. And some of the keywords I can remember off the top of my head were vacation, beach, floral, feminine. But for this skirt, I did not put my cost of goods or my profit. So I will also make sure to share that with you all on the screen. But I would definitely make sure to be on the lookout for specific skirts like this. And again, as always, make sure to make listings like this very keyword heavy, especially if the item is vintage. Next up was another item that I found in my thredUP men's rescue box that I just opened for $42 on a 40% offer sent by myself. I sold this Disney Villains and Heidi Klum collab, and this was the Cast Your Curse bomber jacket. This was the first thing that I pulled from my recent thredUP men's rescue box, and I had no clue what it was. When I looked at the tag on the neckline, I did not see any brand, and so I thought that it was just an unbranded thing. Maybe it came from a website like Wish or Shein, but I still thought that it could be a pretty decent sale just because it had so many intricate details on it, and I did see the Disney Villains on the back. So I did end up taking a picture and searching it on Google Lens. I was really happy to see that it was a Disney jacket. And when I looked, I did see the little tag with the collab on the side. Also, a little side note, I did see some stuff about Disney. I think they are cracking down on people that are selling things that have any type of Disney graphic on it, but it is not a licensed Disney brand. So for example, you can't have something like a Gildan t-shirt with a Mickey Mouse screen printed on it, especially if it says Disney on it. I'm pretty sure that Disney has been cracking down on the secondhand market. So that is another reason why I was really happy to see that this was an actual Disney jacket, because if it wasn't, I probably wouldn't be able to sell it on secondhand markets. But if I am wrong with this, please someone correct me in the comments because I don't want to spread any false information. But I'm pretty sure that I did read an article about that. So as I said, this was for my thredUP men's rescue box, and you will see all of the good finds next week. I will make sure to include these sales as well in the video so y'all can see what I've already sold, but I am just so excited to share the video with you because the box is so good. But as I said earlier, I have not processed this box and how much my cost of goods was. I did put a little estimate that I'm thinking I profited around $30 for this Disney Villains jacket. This next sale we have to go over is this Ann Taylor wool tweed blazer, and this sold for $28 in discounted shipping on a 20% offer sent by myself to a new liker. If you've been subscribed to me for a while, you probably hear me talk a lot about Ann Taylor Loft. I love picking up a lot of unique pieces from Loft. You have to be careful with what you pick up. I did put in here that when it comes to Loft and Ann Taylor, I will be more drawn to Ann Taylor because it is the higher end line, but I will look for quality pieces from Ann Taylor and Loft, such as wool, cashmere, jackets and blazers, unique dresses, fun patterns, and really just any recent style. It has been one of my most successful bread and butter brands to sell on all of my platforms. This specific jacket cost me just 98 cents, so I was really happy to see it sell at 20% off. And after fees and cost of goods, I made $19.40. And this jacket ended up selling within about a month and a half of listing. Next up, we have my only eBay sale from the last 3 weeks. I know I mentioned that I would focus a lot more on my eBay, but I have to admit I have been terrible about doing that. This sale definitely made me more motivated and determined to revamp my eBay and finally start cross-listing more regularly. But for $80 on an offer sent by the buyer, I sold this new with tags Lone Pine green suit leather vest. This was a brand that I had never heard of, but I like picking up any type of Western style pieces, whether it is boots or something like this leather vest. But Lone Pine was a new to me brand, and the tag had the price marked out with the pen, but I think I faintly saw that it retailed for around $185. I did pay $9.98 for it, and this one sat in my unlisted inventory for way too long. I think I picked this up over the summer and I did not list it until the winter. But I will say that this vest definitely brought a lot of attention to my eBay. It was one of my most viewed items, so I was really happy to see a reasonable offer because I did have this listed for $100. I am absolutely terrible at keeping track of my eBay earnings. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm still really confused with how they calculate it and what your actual earnings are. So I did not put my actual profit, but like I said, I paid $9.98 for it, and I think I profited around that $60 to $65 range. All right, we are on to the final sale. This one came from Mercari for $23 at full price. I sold this bundle of 5 pairs of outdoor gloves, and the brand was Blue Hawk. This is a brand and an item that I would never think about sourcing when I go out to the thrift stores. I typically stay in my women's clothing section and shoes. These gloves were complimentary for one of my previous jobs. For whatever reason, I had a ton of pairs still lying around my house, so I decided to just put them in a bundle. Because they were free, I figured that I would price them pretty good. I think I had started them at $25, and then at some point on Mercari, I decided to promote the listing. I only had these listed on Mercari and Facebook Marketplace, but I was really happy to see these sell within a couple weeks of listing on Mercari. So I put in my notes here that this is your sign to find random stuff around your house to sell. I know that I have made a lot of decent income just finding random crap around my house, whether it is household items, something like this, or random clothes in my closet. So for these Blue Hawk gloves, after Mercari's fees, I profited a quick $19.53. All right, we have now gone over a little bit of my sales in the last 3 weeks. Overall, I was really happy with my sales, and I think I found a good balance of sourcing higher end items and bread and butter pieces. And I hope that you all got some sort of value with this video. If you did, I hope you consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I know I said I was a little burnt out at the beginning of the video, but I am really happy to be back on YouTube after a short break. And if you are new here, I do post videos every single Friday, and every other week I will post a what sold video. But that is all that I have for you today. So now that we are at the end of this video, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you for the next video.